What's the issue? I'm sorry? We're live right now? Are you sure? I don't even know. You're going to have to tell me that. That's all. It's all good. Good? Let me just wait for this counter here. Welcome, guys, to the show.
Thank you for having us.
And welcome to everybody that's listening right now. We're going live here at CCE, Canadian Concrete Expo. We're super excited about this. It's the first time that we're doing this. It's kind of a little bit trip for us, but it's good to have you guys in the seat here. Mm-hmm. So welcome. I really appreciate it. And we're going to talk about, I guess, crane operating, right?
Concrete pump operators.
Oh, sorry.
Concrete, I can do my best with cranes.
No. Concrete pumper. Yeah, it's funny, as I was saying off mic, that we had people come by, they saw your logo there, and they were asking us questions. Like, we don't have the questions. We don't have the answers. That's why we have you guys in the seat right now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, Ammar, you're back on the seat.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in. You travel all the way from out west. Same with you, Sarah, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And Sarah Knights is here as well. And what's your official title there?
Programs and Initiatives Specialist.
And then your official title again?
I'm the Director of Programs and Initiatives.
Okay, and we'll do a little wave to Mike because he's busy right now at the booth.
The booth.
No, it's all good. And at the booth, you guys are going to be focusing mostly on what?
On the CCPO program. So we're presenting on that today, and that's really what we're here for at the convention. Obviously, we have a suite of safety products, or not products, rather services that we offer in our province, but for the purposes of our trip here, we're really focusing on CCPO and trying to bring the pump operator program to Ontario.
Yeah, I know on the show that we did about a week ago, I think it was show number 509, where we were talking to you guys on Zoom. You guys brought up a lot of that, and I was very respectful of how I think BC's moving forward a lot faster than Ontario, unfortunately. And I think that we have a lot more operators here in Ontario, but we don't have the organization that you guys have there. We desperately need it here, no?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've been working with a lot of partners here. I see some of them in the background at the show. They've really been leading the charge here in Ontario to bring the program over. So, it's the same group of people that made it happen in BC. It's the actual operators, it's the owners, it's people like the operating engineers, it's, the groups that are most impacted, the stakeholders. So BC's kind of a leader in that sense in safety in general, so we tend to have the most stringent regulations. We bring things forward first, and that's what we did with CCPO. But no doubt the scale in Ontario, for everything you see in BC, double it, right?
Double it.
You have more
right?
everything. It's bigger, it's, whatever you see, whether it's incidents, there's more of them. If it's operators, there's more of them. So, to know that this model exists and we have it and that it's not here yet, it's striking. And we get a lot of that when people come by our booth. They look at it and go, you're already here, right? And we go, no, that's what we're trying to achieve. So they're surprised that something like that doesn't already exist in Ontario.
I know when we talk about pump operators, we think about big structures. We think about big construction going on, high-rise and stuff like that. But it wasn't too long ago, about maybe 2 decades, that you weren't even using pump going on residential or smaller projects. But nowadays, it's definitely a viable option, right? Where it means we need more of these operators. We need more of these skilled operators. Now, all the more reason why it's not just about the big buildings that are being built. So that's where you guys come in, where we want to try to educate the industry about how valuable it is instead of, I guess, moving concrete at a wheelbarrow snail's pace, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Sarah can attest to this because she works a lot directly with the companies to schedule their practical assessments. We get, in the last little while especially, tons of line pump operators which are doing mostly residential work, right? So it's a viable option there, and it's becoming used more and more. I mean, that wheelbarrow model, that doesn't really exist anymore.
It's great for a little nostalgic.
Yeah, sure. You want to do a couple of steps in front of your house?
Yes.
We get it. You're not going to bump, back up a mixer truck to do that. But by and large, for everything else, it's hooked up to a pump.
So what's your day-to-day duties here, Sarah?
So with the CCPO program, I'm kind of more front-facing. So I talk to the employers, I talk to the operators themselves, I help them get registered, I help them put their payments through, I give them information on the program itself, answer their questions about regulation, that kind of thing. So it's more of like the day-to-day administration, but then also, being kind of on the ground and talking to the pump operators. And I also manage our assessors as well, who go out and actually do the practical exams in the field.
Is there a difference when you guys step on a BC job site and an Ontario job site? Is there a difference, or are we basically all the same kind of breed?
I would think everybody is, construction is construction.
Yeah, that's
right?
That's what I'm figuring.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially at a show like this, and even when we've been to other conventions, when an operator comes up to us, I don't know where that guy's from. He could be from the States, from Vancouver, from Ontario. It's the same breed of person that comes up and talks to us. And a lot of times, they'll come talk to us and they are from BC and we're out in Ontario. It's really a testament to like it attracts a certain type of person, right?
And that's the job. That's what I find really interesting, that it doesn't matter who you are tradesperson wise, you can get the lay of the land very quickly if it's a professionally laid land.
Yes.
Right? That's what I'm trying to think. And I guess I also would like to know, because I really don't know this, are there a lot of females getting into the operating business?
I actually haven't had, as far as I can tell, we maybe have a handful of people being certified that may or may not be women, but it's still quite male dominated.
Yeah,
it is,
I figured.
but I mean, hopefully one day we'll see more females on the stick. But
I mean, it's a physical job to a degree, but it doesn't have to be. Like a lot of jobs in the trades, there's this notion that you have to just be a brute to be able to do it at all, right? But you don't have to be. There's new ways of doing things.
It's like that image is
that's
done.
an old world thinking. It's this like, if you're not physically capable, it's like you have to have some level of physicality to do this work. It's physical work, but you don't have to be able to, lift 200 pounds over your head to be an operator. It's like Sarah says, it's being on the controls. You're mostly adjusting a joystick when you're doing this, right?
I totally forgot what booth number you guys are presenting at here at the Concrete Expo.
1878.
1878.
What hall is it in?
Hall 1.
Oh, you're in Hall 1.
Yeah.
And also you're presenting on the stage, right?
We are, yep.
Okay, that's going to be interesting. What time's that happening?
1:30.
1:30 today.
This afternoon. Yep.
Okay, that's awesome, right?
Yeah.
So everyone who's interested in checking it out, they're listening right now, and you're at the show, you can go and take a look at it.
Yep.
Who else you got speaking on there?
It's myself and Sarah presenting today. And we'll have our executive director, Mike, who you met last week on there with us as well, available for questions, but up on the stage it'll be us.
Cool. And then I'm trying to think of what else we needed to know from you guys. If anybody's got more information they want to find out, just reach out to you guys.
Yep, for sure.
And then start the process that way. It doesn't matter if you're in Ontario, you're looking at projects out west.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's mandatory in BC right now. So if you're in British Columbia, you don't have a choice. You have to call us and get certified. But if you're out in Ontario, we're not officially set up here yet. But I mean, certainly if somebody's really interested in being certified, we will come out to you.
Or even just doing the written exam. Our written exam is available fully online. It's like on demand. It's virtually proctored, so you could take it, in the middle of the night in your living room if you wanted to, and it's available for everyone, right? So if you just want to see what the written exam was like, kind of get through that process, anyone from anywhere in the world can do that for sure, very easily.
Are you guys seeing a lot of adoption when it comes to the digital tools being presented to the tradespeople? They're embracing them, right?
Yes, the majority of people for sure. It can be a little bit tricky, like if you don't have your own, laptop with a webcam, that kind of thing, but most employers are super accommodating as well. You can just pop into the office and use someone's computer, and we haven't had really any issues. It's a really straightforward program to use as well.
But smartphones, just wipe a little bit of concrete off the screen and then you start recording, right?
Good to go.
And you check it out and it's done. But also FaceTime and everything, and just talk. And you guys are there to answer questions. If anything comes up, there's questions that can be answered, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm liking that's happening there. And what are you guys seeing in the future? What would you guys like to see across the country?
A national standard. Really, that's what.
Is that difficult to do? Like Ammar, is it challenging?
Absolutely, because we are fortunate in BC because of the relationship that we have with our regulator and the fact that we have enforcement and compensation under one roof in WorkSafe BC. So we don't have a WCB and a WorkSafe. It's the same thing. So when we need to get something done, we work closely with them, and it tends to get done fairly quickly. That's not the same landscape across the country. The open shop versus union is different too. It's basically an inverse here of what it is in BC. It's like an 80-20 split. 20% union, 80% open shop in BC. Here it's the opposite, right? So it's who you're talking to and the channels you have to go through, the bureaucracy basically to get to the point where you're talking about full national or provincial adoption. You have to adjust with every province that you go to. So that's the challenging part. The buy-in from the industry, that's not hard. Everybody wants this. They know it's a good product. They know it's a good certification. It's really just getting over that hurdle of how do you get it to be adopted kind of formally and officially by everyone. Because if you're at a voluntary level, you'll get some people signing up, but until somebody tells you have to do this or you ought to do this, it's kind of dead on arrival, to be honest.
Do you get a little bit of conflict going on where you have the ones that adopted it out west and then they're trying to speak to the ones out here and there's resistance? Is that what's happening or not?
For the most part, no. Even in BC, anywhere, you're going to have the naysayers that just don't want change. They don't want any regulation. You have that group of people, I think, in any industry where you go, anything imposed on them on top of what they're doing already, it's a no.
Yeah.
They don't care about the why of it, like why this is a good idea. They're outright are against it. But honestly, by and large, for this program, whether it's here in BC, anywhere we've gone, people are all for it, and it's really just about taking that next step to get either the regulator, the local safety association, or somebody to adopt it and then promote it in that province. But yeah, you'll have naysayers anywhere you go, but we try not to focus on that. We try to convince them otherwise.
Well, I mean, disregard the naysayers at that point. I mean, you guys want to rattle off the benefits? There's so many benefits associated if you go down this path regarding career-wise. You guys want to share that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, in terms of being a certified operator, it's the same as if, for instance, you're a crane operator. It gives you that level of prestige on the job site. It reflects what you're doing at the complexity of the machines you're working with, the type of knowledge that you need to have to run these machines safely and effectively. It gives you something that you can kind of hold up and say, I can do this. It's just like a driver's license. I mean, you wouldn't want someone driving a huge truck around without a Class 3 license, right? So, I mean, why are people using a 62-meter boom on top of a high-rise without anything to show for it, right?
Yeah, certification for sure.
Yeah, just helps people be safer, helps keep them to a higher standard of performance, keeps them accountable, and it looks nice.
How are you guys seeing the machinery change? I mean, has it dramatically changed in the last couple of decades?
It's becoming more complex.
That's what I'm assuming.
And that's part of what drove this, right?
And bigger booms.
Bigger booms.
Reach, more demand, right?
More PSI, more material being pushed
more
through.
risk.
More risk, and that's what it is. If you go back to kind of the beginning stages of concrete pumps, they're fairly simple. I mean, they were never simple, but they're much simpler than they are now. At this point now, there's a lot of complexity with setting them up, cleaning them out, running them, and that's part of why this exists, because we're going, it at one point just became ridiculous, the notion that anybody could buy, lease, rent one of these things and go, hook it up, start running it.
That's extremely dangerous,
crazy,
right?
because if you told somebody, hey, you see that giant crane on site, that's just some guy. No training, nothing,
It's a recipe, right?
It's a recipe.
That's the issue, and we don't want that. We actually want to educate and shine the positivity behind all of that, right? So there's a reason why that person's there operating that, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. It makes it a certified trade. For a lot of trades out now for decades, you wouldn't think of hiring somebody if they weren't certified, if they didn't have their red seal, if they didn't have their minimum hours, whatever the proper official channels are that they have to go through for training, certification, and then recertification. In concrete pumping, that didn't exist, right? So that's really what we're bringing to the table. It's, to Sarah's point, it's to recognize the work they're already doing. I mean, you have people out there that have been doing this work for 30, 40 plus years. They're incredibly well educated on it. They're incredibly skilled. They know what they're doing, and they really have nothing to show for it, right? So this is a nice seal of, it's official now. You're one of the other people on site that has this mark.
Am I fair to say that, I mean, because you do have a lot of veterans that are in this game, in that specific trade, like there are these operators there, and you wonder, how are we going to replace this workforce? Because there's more demand for it, but there's fewer people coming into it.
Yeah, there are.
So how are we navigating those waters? Because, I mean, it's almost like you can't retire. I need you to stay. There's another big project here, and there's another big project there. So how do we navigate there? Because I get the sense that they've got that 40-year experience, and they've educated themselves through the years of all the different projects, but they haven't really shared the knowledge to get more people to come into this particular trade. How are you guys tackling that?
Well, we work with our partners in BC, for example, with Concrete BC and others, to promote the trade as a whole, right? I mean, there's one of the big things that we ran into is people keep asking us how many operators are there, right? So we thought, well, we don't have access to that number, so let's look at how much equipment is out there. So if there's 10 pumps being sold, there ought to be 10 operators at that company.
Yeah.
What we found out was that wasn't the case. There's a ton of companies that have pumps sitting there not being used because you've got 10 pumps but only 6 guys to run them, right? So
and nothing's bad as a machine that's not being used for the purpose of that
machine. It's a labor
machine.
shortage.
Yeah.
It's the inability to attract people to the trade, and I think doing what we're doing is one of the steps towards promoting it as a viable trade, right?
Yeah.
You look at it and you go, okay, well, I can be an electrician, I could do this, I could be a crane operator, or I can be a pump operator. We want to bring it into the fold where that becomes a viable option. So we're doing everything we can on our end to promote it as a viable trade, as something that you can get into that's a good career. And I think we were talking about this a little bit last week, just in general, a promotion of the trades. And this is just another ticket you can add to that list where it's like, here's an option for you. It's a good business to get into. And to that point of the old guard kind of passing on their knowledge, that's what we're trying to do with our operators. We have a bunch of committees that we're part of, that we run. where we're taking those senior guys and then we're using them to educate the next groups. So Concrete BC, for example, in our province, they run a training course, and they've got these senior veteran guys that have a committee that they sit on and then a course that they teach. And that's where, when I've gone and presented to those groups, it's full of young people, which is good to see, right?
Which is interesting, because on the show we get mostly young people listening to the show, and whenever I talk to an older tradesperson, they don't even know what a podcast is unless they think it's a radio or something like that.
Right.
But so you are seeing the younger trades inquiring about this specific...
For sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing young operators applying. I mean, like quite young, early 20s. They're getting into the trade. They've been running a pump for 2 years. So that's been nice to see, but it's just like with any trade, there is that gap between the people with the extreme amounts of knowledge and experience and the fresh people coming in, and are they going to be able to cross over effectively to help train and keep that going. But I mean, we're definitely seeing a good variety of ages of people.
I like, the first time I ever met an older retired op, I was talking to him, and then we got talking about numbers and career-wise and everything like that, and he was incredibly hush-hush about it, right? And I know that it's a very good career when you get into it and you get all the certification, you learn all the training, you network and all the relationships. You're making a good career out of this.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a benefit.
You can make a living as an operator.
For sure
and
you
it's
can.
nice because you can be an owner-operator too if you're able to lease your own pump. And you can just have your own business. Like it provides a lot of flexibility. You can either have your own company, go out on your own. There's different pump types, different applications. It's a good.
They're not like most of the tradespeople here. Well, we drive around town, we point to certain buildings that we work on.
Right.
They actually look at the city line and they point to the buildings that they've worked on.
Exactly.
You see that ground you're walking on.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's me, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they change the landscape dramatically.
Oh yeah,
because
especially
of it.
with the towers.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But we do need to do a better job of promoting it as a trade in general. Like I have personal friends that have been in between jobs and they go, what should I get into? They know I'm in the construction world generally. I go, concrete pumping, do it. And they've never even heard of it. They've never even thought of that, right? And that's an issue.
You guys are not alone. I mean, it's almost like the go-to, I think, 10 or 13 trades that everyone thinks about.
Yes.
Right.
But we're talking about there's hundreds of trades that you can actually apply your skill set to. And so this is definitely one that they should be inquiring
100%.
about and getting the right answers out of it. So it's good that you guys are at the show, presenting on there, getting to sharing the knowledge.
Yep.
And I'm excited about it. It's totally, I like sharing this message and getting it out to the tradespeople there so they can consider it. And you never know, you might get a whole younger adoption coming in, and then the old guys will pass on. And I encourage the older guys that do listen to pass on this knowledge free willy.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to talk about the money that you've made over the career because you want to keep that quiet, but let them explain that this is really a good career option.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that's there. I mean, everything, you guys want to share anything else? Or you guys are...
I think we're good. I think we're
we
excited
covered
about
it.
it. We appreciate this
It's good to
opportunity.
finally meet. I mean,
Happy
it's
to be
great.
here.
I'll see if I can swing by in between some of the shows and say hi to Mike as
Yes,
well, too.
absolutely.
And maybe we can get a photo at some point, but we're here for the 2 days, and
Yeah,
I
we'll be
appreciate
here.
you guys spending time coming on here. Again,
Likewise.
the booth number is
1878.
in Hall
Hall
1.
one.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
we're presenting at 1:30.
At
today.
1:30 today, so everyone who wants to check it out to get more information from there. Thanks very
Excellent.
much, guys. Oh, I got to share. Sorry, CCPO.ca is the website to reach them, and then the phone number is 1-877-860-3675, and an email. Who wants to reach out, email-wise?
CCPO at BCCSA.ca.
Okay, that's it, guys.
Great.
Thanks very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right.